Hello and welcome to this session. I am Elder Small, and I'd like to thank you for joining me for just a few minutes here today. This is the year 2026, and Donald Trump is serving as President of the United States. 12 months into his presidency, the actions of his administration, they bear a stark resemblance to those of the first century rise of the Roman aristocracy. As I speak, the country is being influenced by groups such as the Heritage Foundation, the authors of the Mandate for Leadership, and the Conservative Promise. We know this as Project 25. Their agenda emphasizes reshaping the federal government with a focus on strong executive power and nationalism. In their bid to accommodate white nationalism, we are seeing false claims and narratives about non-white people and groups, claims that erase or deny the contribution, cultures, and their very presence in this country. Over the past few centuries, America has led the world in promoting European imperialism, socioeconomic exploitation, and Judeo-Christian religion, the spread of the Judeo-Christian religion. African Americans in particular have been subjects of unrelenting social malfeasance and spiritual discombobulation. The Hispanic population, especially immigrants, they've been traumatized by ICE alongside other non-white immigrant groups. Under Donald Trump's administration, America has become a crucible of lies, deceit, and malevolence or malevolence, reflecting a society driven by an ideology of American-grown white nationalism. America, in one sense or another, is chipping away at the norms and institutions that stand for civil rights. For example, some states have introduced legislation and policies that restrict teaching of certain aspects of Black history, particularly those related to the critical race theory. Books and curriculum materials related to the history and culture of Black people have been removed and disallowed in some school districts. These current events stem from ideas and beliefs that have been incubating for decades and even centuries. These ideas have facilitated the emergence of an autocratic cult that subtly advances white nationalism and reinforces American hegemony or hegemony. During the formation of the Roman Empire, Julius Caesar claimed to be a descendant of a divine being, of divine beings, namely the goddess Venus. Donald Trump, during a call to Flashpoint, he said, or he asserted, that nobody has done more for Christianity or evangelicals or for religion than me. Again, Donald Trump, and I quote, "Nobody has done more for Christianity or evangelicals or for religion than me." And to add a bit of satire, Donald Trump claimed that he has done more for Christianity than Jesus, effectively deifying himself. This statement, standing by itself, highlights how the erasure of non-white cultures and contributions, along with the whitewashing of history, has been central to white nationalism and its pursuit of power and control. White nationalist political culture is fundamentally rooted in religion. Without this religious foundation, it would not exist in its current form. In other words, white nationalism is grounded in both philosophical and religious ideologies that perpetuate the idea, and I quote, "If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it." And telling lies, this is the impetus of their quest to dominate the world. Professor Amos Wilson informs us that from the first day, a reporter asked a government official a tough question. There's always been a debate over whether the government has a right to lie. Whether the government has a right to lie. It does, and in certain circumstances, government not only has the right, but a positive obligation to lie, end quote. White nationalism is an organism that manipulates lies, which then distorts our awareness. It understands that awareness is consciousness and that consciousness is power. Thus, Anthony Bowder informs us that this is what the crusade against wokeness is all about. If we are to liberate ourselves from the shackles of this modern-day plantation of lies, deceit, and sacrilegious dogma, it will take liberating ourselves from external forces and aligning our bodies, minds, and spirits with the truth. There's a body of research indicating that if we have spent decades listening to lies, our bodies become, in a sense, emotionally conditioned and addicted to the feelings and thoughts associated with them. Let me repeat that. The research indicates that if we have spent decades listening to lies, our bodies become, in a sense, emotionally conditioned and repeated to the feelings and thoughts associated with those lies. In order to break from the thoughts and feelings associated with the lies that perpetuate our daily lives, we must aspire to intellectual greatness, and therefore our thoughts will carry more weight than our feelings. For things to change, our environment must change, even or both the external and internal environment. What we take in through our senses directly affects every cell in our bodies. Therefore, change can only occur when we control our environment and master our perception and thinking. If we continue to give our attention to lies and rehearse those lies repeatedly, mentally and physiologically, life becomes a burden, and as it is diminished, all of our todays and tomorrow or become diminished or become hopeless. Again, life becomes a burden. Lies transform into a burden upon our lives, and what it does is diminish all our todays and tomorrows. It's time to stop living lies. And with that, I'm going to stop, and in doing so, I'm going to grant that you may experience the greatest good in your life and aspire towards supreme intelligence. Dua, Ashe, Hotep.